The Holy Gospel according to St. Luke, the 22nd chapter. While Jesus was still speaking, suddenly a crowd came, and the one called Judas, one of the 12, was leading them. He approached Jesus to kiss him, but Jesus said to him, "Judas, is it with a kiss that you are betraying the Son of Man?" When those who were around him saw that he was coming, they asked, "Lord, should we strike with the sword?" Then one of them struck the slave of the high priest and cut off his right ear. But Jesus said no more of this, and he touched his ear and healed him. Then Jesus said to the chief priests, the officers of the temple police, and the elders who had come for him, "Have you come out with swords and clubs as if I were a bandit? When I was with you day after day in the temple, you did not lay hands on me. But this is your hour and the power of darkness." Then they seized him and led him away, bringing him to the high priest's house. But Peter was following at a distance. When they had kindled a fire in the middle of the courtyard and sat down together, Peter sat among them. Then a servant girl, seeing him in the firelight, stared at him and said, "This man also was with him." But Peter denied it, saying, "Woman, I do not know him." A little later, someone else on seeing him said, "You also are one of them." But Peter said, "Man, I am not." Then about an hour later, still another kept insisting, "Surely this man also is with him, for he is a Galilean." But Peter said, "Man, I do not know what you are talking about." At that moment, while he was still speaking, the rooster crowed. The Lord turned and looked at Peter. Then Peter remembered the word of the Lord, how he had said to him, "Before the rooster crows today, you will deny me 3 times." And he went out and wept bitterly. The Gospel of the Lord.
Good evening. We return tonight to the ongoing story of Jesus of Nazareth. What is it about this story that continues to fascinate and enthrall? Jesus, a former carpenter turned street preacher, was executed by crucifixion at the urging of a Jerusalem mob. Prior to that, Jesus had been a well-known and even well-loved figure in Jerusalem and all of northern and western Israel. He had, in fact, been welcomed into Jerusalem in an impromptu parade, the route lined with adoring fans less than a week before his execution. Joining us tonight from an undisclosed location is one of Jesus' closest followers, a man who was with him right up until the very end, Simon, son of Jonah.
Well, hello there.
Thank you, Simon, for being with us this evening.
Oh, call me Peter. That's what most everybody calls me, Peter.
Very well then, Peter.
Yeah, that's the Greek way of saying it anyways, right? Because it's Jesus and everybody calls me Cephas, but in Greek you say Peter. It means the same thing. Cephas and Peter both mean rock. I don't know why they call me rock. Maybe I must be hard-headed at times, I guess, but they call me that. They call me Peter.
Thank you, Peter. If we could talk a few moments about Jesus of Nazareth.
Yeah, about that, it's not true, by the way, not entirely well. It's not exactly accurate, is if you know what I'm saying.
What's not true?
Well, I wish it were true, but it's really not technically. And anyhow, I wasn't with Jesus all the way to the end. If by all the way to the end you mean to his death, anyway, so it looks like that isn't really the end of it. Anyhow, does it? So, I mean, after his death, well, that's a different matter. See, but all the way up to his death, well, I was there most of the way. I was there a little bit right before his death, not so much, kind of, but I mean, I wasn't there all of it, but I'd say a good 99%, 99.9%, 99.8% of the whole rooster thing, 96.4% of the time I was there.
Why don't we back up a little bit? Could you tell us more about your relationship with Jesus?
Oh, yeah. It started a couple years ago, maybe 3 years ago, maybe not quite. So I'd have to look at a calendar. I don't really know. Anyway, Andrew and I was fishing. That's my brother, Andrew. We were fishing together because that's what we do. Commercial fishing license, and we're all legal and everything. And this is what we do. And Jesus was there, and Jesus called Andrew to follow him, and to follow Jesus, and so he did, and then since then, oh my gosh, I followed him too. You'd never believe the stuff that we have seen, the huge crowds and the things we saw, the miracles, and people all messed up, getting put together right there in front of you. And it was just while you're watching it, and Jesus on walking on water, and oh man, could he spot fish? Just about ruined our nets that one time. Oh, the stories I could talk your ear off.
I have no doubt. I understand that you were Jesus' closest friend.
Oh, sure. We're real tight. He paid my temple tax for me that one year. He said, get down the creek and pull out a fish, and so I did, and I pulled out this pike, this big pike. I slit the belly open, and there were 2 coins in it. Weirdest thing. And Jesus had come over, and he'd help around the house, he'd heal my mother-in-law or whatever it was it needed doing. We got along real well. He called me Satan that one time, but that was my fault, really.
I'm sorry he called you Satan?
Well, not just like that. See, he could be real complimentary too. He asked who I thought he was. I said he was the Messiah, and he was real glad for me I got it right, and affirming, all that. And he said, "Oh yeah, and that's who I am, and you're Peter, and you're the rock, and saying that I'm the Messiah, that's the rock I'm going to build my whole church on." And I was all pleased with myself, but then he just kept on talking. You know how some people can just keep on talking and on talking and on, just like forever, and then he said, "Well, I'm just going to go to the Son of Man." That's him, Jesus, not, anyone else. And he said, "Well, the Son of Man's going to be arrested and tortured and killed and all that. And on the 3rd day, rise again." And I didn't want to hear that kind of stuff. So I said, "God forbid." And that's when he called me Satan.
Forgive me, I don't see the connection. Why would he call you Satan for not wanting him to suffer?
Well, it was more like, "Get behind me, Satan," because I was thinking like people think and not like God thinks. He said that's what he said.
You mean about your being Satan?
Gee, no, he was right about everything else, but no, hopefully not that. No, so he was right about the suffering and the dying part, and the rest of it too, because that's just what happened.
You said that you weren't with Jesus at the very end. What happened?
Well, we were sitting down to dinner together, right? And we're like leaning down. You know how people do. They lean on the left side. It's the thing. And we're leaning down to dinner. It was Passover, and it was the last meal we had together, well, except until like real recently, but it was the last meal we had together, and Jesus said one of us was going to betray him. And well, we all wanted Jesus to know it wasn't going to be us, and so we're all saying, "Not me, not me." And I said, "Even if I have to die for you, I will not betray you ever." And everybody else said that kind of stuff too. And Jesus said that I would deny him 3 times, right then, right there, right before the next morning. Me, Peter, would deny him 3 times. Well, it was like stabbing my heart with a knife. Hurt worse than being called Satan, I could tell you. That was no picnic. Couldn't believe he couldn't trust me better than that after all that time. And then we went down for a walk after we're ate to let things digest a little bit in this little park called Gethsemane.
But you were still with Jesus.
Oh, so far, yeah. Jesus went off on his own for a little while, and we had some trouble staying awake. Big meal, the whole thing, and he had to keep coming over and waking us up. But we were all still with him. We were even there when the mob arrived.
Could you tell us about the mob?
Well, there was this whole pile of soldiers. Must have been a bunch of them, and they had armor and javelins and torches and the whole thing like out of some kind of bad movie. And leading the whole bunch up the hill was Judas Iscariot. Now, I thought at first that Judas had gotten some of the soldiers over to our side. I wouldn't be surprised. He was always doing clever stuff like that. Wouldn't that have been great to have soldiers on our side? Things were getting pretty tense, and Judas was the clever one, really good at kind of organizing stuff. He was our treasurer and kept all the money and everything. And as soon as Judas gave Jesus a hello kiss, which is a thing we do here, you may not do that there, but it's a thing. And the mob went on the attack. It turns out the whole time Judas was some kind of double agent.
And that was the point which you left Jesus.
So, it worse than that, if you must know. But not yet. I was all gung-ho at first. I had a sword with me. You don't go walking around Jerusalem out after dark unarmed, especially around Passover time. So too many out-of-towners and way too many Romans. So I pulled out the sword and I took a swipe at this guy Malchus who works for the high priest, and good aim too. I just cut his ear right off.
I wasn't aware that the arrest of Jesus involved violence.
Well, not much. That was it, really. Jesus told me to put the sword away, and I put the sword away. Then he told the soldiers he'd go peacefully if he let us go. And so then they put the cuffs on him and drug him off.
And that is when you ran away.
Most of the guys did. I did not yet. And John didn't either. See, we faked like that's what we were doing, but then we snuck along behind the soldiers kind of stealthy, and we hid in the shrubs waiting to see where they were going to take him. If Judas could play double agent, well, then John and I could do some spying of our own.
So where did you end up going?
Well, we went to the high priest's house, Caiaphas's house. John ran on ahead. He's young and he's real fast and just got the zoomies all the time. And he ran up, he caught up with Jesus, and they let John in because he knew some of them people. I think he even met the high priest a couple times. And John talked to one of the maids later, and she let me in to like the courtyard thing.
I don't understand why you say you let Jesus down then. It sounds like you were as supportive as you could have been.
Well, I'm getting to that. See, the maid said to me, "Oh, you were with that Jesus guy they drug in here." And I'm still in spy mode, see. And I said, "Oh, I didn't want to blow my cover." I said, "Oh, no. I don't know what you're talking about." Real slick like. And then I'm standing in the courtyard and she lets me in. I'm warming myself by the fire, just blending in, perfectly stealthy. And then the soldiers keep at me. And one of them says, "Oh, you got to be with that troublemaker Jesus. You got the same accent like he does." And I said, "Yeah, I don't know who you are. I don't know that whole Jesus. I'm not me." And then another one goes, "Yeah, didn't I see you in Gethsemane?" Well, I know he did because I saw him there. But I kept saying, no, never even heard of Jesus. Never once, no clue. I'm just sitting here by the fire. It's a little chilly. I found the fire. I come over. I'm warming. And then the rooster crows. What do you know? Just as the sun comes up, and it was morning, and Jesus was right. I turned my back on him over and over 3 times.
Well, that's certainly understandable.
No, it's not. John stayed with him. Some of the women stayed with him. Even his mother stood by him. Hard as it was for us to watch it, it had to have been 1,000,000 times worse for her. But none of the others who were with Jesus and that night and me, we all ran away and hid. And to be honest, we're still in hiding.
But you called us up this morning to set up this interview.
Well, things have changed. I don't think we're going to be hiding out much longer. This morning, we wake up this frantic pounding on the door. We thought it was the police coming to arrest us. But it was Mary Magdalene. She stayed with Jesus the whole time. And she had just run back like a maniac from the tomb. She's sweaty and panting and everything. And then she went there as soon as the Sabbath was over. That was yesterday. She went as soon as the Sabbath was over, took this old big 100-pound bag of potpourri to kind of smell up the tomb prettier. And she said when she went there, the body was gone. And she comes back all excited. She said he was alive. Well, we thought she had to have been hallucinating, or wishful thinking or something like that. But, it wasn't, I guess.
Could she prove what she said?
Well, we didn't wait around for her to prove it. John and I took off like a shot. Like I said, he's got the zoomies. He's really fast and has to run everywhere. So he gets there first, and he gets to the tomb door. He kind of froze. I pushed inside and went in, and what do you know? Absolutely empty.
The Roman authorities are claiming that their guards fell asleep and the body was stolen.
That did not happen. Jesus is alive.
You told our producer on the phone this morning that you weren't sure if that was true.
Well, I wasn't sure this morning. But just before I left to come here to meet your camera guy, we had a visit. Jesus came in. Don't know how he did it. The doors were all locked. We're still kind of, keeping ourselves discreet. And there he was.
Is he still there? Would he be available for an interview?
I don't know where he is right now. After a while, he just wasn't there anymore.
Pardon my saying so, but are you sure that this wasn't a hallucination just brought on by anxiety or wishful thinking?
Jesus pulled up a chair and ate with us. Hallucinations don't move furniture. Ghosts don't chew fish. Jesus is alive.
Well, this is astounding news. This must be a very confusing time for you. What will you do now?
Oh no, this is not a confusing time at all. I have never been less confused in my entire life. I didn't understand half the things that Jesus said to me at the time. It's all coming together right now. Jesus told us one time that we would fish for people, and I'm thinking, what is up with that? Are we supposed to put a sandwich on the end of a fishing line and throw it out in the middle of the street? But I understand now. The hook is the cross, and Jesus is the bait. What am I going to do now? I'm going back to work. I got some fishing to do.
Well, thank you, Peter. It's a truly fascinating story.
You are certainly welcome.
Well, folks, we've had some incredible developments today. We will continue our coverage as we interview one of the more colorful characters in this affair, and one whose role has apparently just gotten much larger than expected, Mary of Magdala. Have a great evening and good night.